Okay? And for me personally, my view is that, and this took a while, and I'm just sharing from you, from my experience, you don't need approval. You don't need someone to acknowledge your effort. You don't need these, you know, um, gratifications other than yourself first. Okay? So, how you empower yourself is not for anyone else. I know sometimes people do it, kankolede tata wange, kankolede mama wange, you know those things, eh? My friend, what about you? You don't ever have financial conversations. I always tell people, when you make money, what's the first thing you spend on? Hmm? Huh? Yourself. Uh-huh. How do you spend on yourself? Uh-uh. Those are given. How do you spend on yourself? How do you invest in yourself? Hmm? Thank you. That's what I was looking for. You know, I people when I people bring for me, asking me about finances, I look at their budgets and I'm like, I feel like in my view, the most important budget item here is how are you going to celebrate yourself? And I don't mean get 10 million and blow it on yourself. No. But as you're planning to, if this money is coming in, how are you rewarding yourself for making that money? Do you ever do that? We're not talking about rent. We are not talking about food. We are not talking about airtime, data. We are not talking about transport. We are not even talking about medical.
Personally, I reward myself. Being a leader at Cavendish is not easy. So every successful event that I do, I get myself a new bag.
Are you paid for the event? Okay, that's
No,
not.
it's something that I do to reward myself because some of these events come out of a lot of either struggling to get a guest
Effort,
speaker or
yeah.
something, a lot of effort. So I decided, ever since I became vice president, that every time I do a successful event, I need to get myself something, and I love bags.
Mm.
So I always do. It's something I promised myself, and I've been doing it.
Okay, that's a good practice. Um, and my point here, before I get to you, my point here is I'm thinking about where there's an income coming in. Okay, I don't know if you guys have like side hustles, whichever form of money you're expecting to come in. Yeah, most times you know how much. Hmm? For example, 500, someone is going to pay you 500K. Maybe you've organized a successful event, you've raised funds. They're like, okay, from this event, it was oversold. There's a commission. 10% is going to you. So, in that 10% that's coming to you, how much do you allocate to yourself? Okay, for you now, you have a bag budget, so that would cover it. So, my point here is, yeah? Okay, maybe if I make my point.
One way I celebrate myself is I go out on solo dates. So I choose somewhere a little bit expensive or fancy, and I just enjoy the experience without having any interruptions. Sometimes I tend to meet people there, but my intention is not to meet anyone, just to have my personal peace.
Okay. Is that from an earning that you have made?
At times, yes.
Okay, good. So my point here, guys, we need to, first of all, because for me, my principle, what I apply to myself is everything starts with self. everything. You get to experience these things first. What does that do? It fills up your cup. So even when you start now going to work, people see you motivated at work, not because maybe you love your work or what, but you have that self-gratification that, okay, if I work, at the end of the day, I show up, I do my work, there is something that I get, salary, whatever it is, but out of that, there is something that I need to acknowledge within me that has enabled me to do it, okay? So that way, you're able to empower yourself using what you have, and that continuous empowerment is very, very important. Before even you speak about economic empowerment, because then you get to realize the value of what you are earning, the value of the work that you are doing, because there's that system that you have set that it's not about spending or saving, because you can save and save and save and even oversave yourself, right? So let's start from there, okay? And then after that, you just know how to distribute your money, you know? Those who are Christians, you know, you tithe, you maybe give a budget, you have your expenditure, you will save and maybe invest. Now, about savings. How many of you save? Okay, maybe it's a difficult question being that you're students, but let me leave you with this nugget about saving. Never save money for just saving. You'd rather even eat it. For saving to make sense, save towards something. There's a very great, one of the things that I don't know if someone said it or it was something I coined myself, I don't remember. So if someone said it and I'm using your statement, forgive me, I can't requote you. But they said, if you fail to plan for your money, someone is planning for you. Do you know that? If you fail to plan for your money. I mean, the banking system, do you know how much money on mobile money is left unclaimed year after year? Do you know how much money is on accounts, unclaimed balances? Either people died and they didn't plan for it or something. It's just there, seated. But someone for years on years, they had this savings account and they would throw in money, can saving it because everyone is saving. So if you don't have a reason why you're saving, eat that money. Eat it. Because you're saving for someone else, for sure. Or have you ever saved and someone gets a problem and they come for your money? Typical African story, we call it black tax, Family member, uncle yabadde kino, simanyi ono yabadde kiri banange mutuyambe, you understand? And by then you need to start having budgets for those things. We call it black tax, It's not common in the European developed world. It's unheard of because there are social systems, there are systems, healthcare that take care of people when they're old or what, you're not working. Here in Africa, because we don't have it, people come for you because you're working. They start taxing you. Yeah, it's the hard truth. Some aunt you've never even heard of calls you. Kozi, gwani? Hey, kakati tuli wano tuli mchizibu tulina family mutuweleze. You're like, hey, who? Like, but it's a tax. Mwana wa gundi, you're now working, you're at Katie Advocates, please. Sasula. So beware as you get into the working environment. It's not bad. Giving is not bad. But remember, the principle is, if you don't value your money will. It will go. It will look for those who value it. And most times you fail to plan for your money, someone is planning for you. Yeah, they'll get a problem. They'll come with a hot deal for you. You know those hot deals? Befuna what? That quick. So beware. So if I'm to bring it back home now, the economic empowerment and gender conversations. It's a reality, by the way. But the good news is it's a reality that we can demystify. As a female who has grown up in a patriarchal society, I have seen this firsthand. Even when you're negotiating salary, even fees. Sometimes when you're talking to clients, because you're the female negotiating it, they expect that the fees will be. But when my male partners are negotiating the same, they throw an amount and they're like, okay. So those are some of the norms I'm talking about, right? But if you remember the value I talked about, you need to know your value. It always starts from there. But it's not something nice and fancy to say that I know my value, Kati, I'm going to be. No. The value is what you're building. Think of yourself as a company. Okay? Susan Limited. Okay? How do I build myself as an asset? Okay? What are some of those things? Knowledge, experiences, service. We need to learn how to serve. What do I mean? I heard your vice president here talking about events and things like that. But they don't take those things for granted. I think my most opportunities have come from spaces where I have served, not even expecting a reward. And someone notices you and sees you. And they're like, oh, by the way, I saw you doing this, and you do it wholeheartedly. I know. So learn to serve networks. Okay? Networks. Talk about economic empowerment. Get into the right networks that are going to build you. As students, you can even start a savings scheme. You know? Yes, there's little money, but you guys, let me tell you, I demystify these things. There's nothing like little money. Remember, money respects those who respect it. And if you want to get a good understanding of this, go downtown. Those women, BBNAs. I don't know if you guys have experienced it. One of my first jobs that I had in a microfinance, when I was just starting out, I did a gig in a microfinance, small really microfinance. And they were lending to very micro clients. They were located here on Kanjosha